Welcome back. I'm Art Phoenix, and this is my sketchbook for my Drawing 1 course in RISD Foundation year. So the first day of class, my teacher took us to the RISD Nature Lab, and we could pick one item, and we had to draw it and then draw it under a microscope too, so that's what this first page is. Also a couple of my homework assignments. My drawing teacher does a lot of presentations, and she likes when we do little drawing studies of what she presents on, so you'll see a lot of that throughout the sketchbook. This first presentation was, natural things, a lot of plants mainly. This was our first big assignment, and then also my planning for our first big assignment. So it was mark and form and rhythmic composition, and we had to pick a piece from the nature lab to do it based off of. So she also had a size requirement, which was we had to do at least 4 sheets of 18 by 24 paper. This page is the course activities and objectives. So she talks a lot about keeping a sketchbook that we should bring to class every week, all the handouts that she gives us, and a little brief thing about the nature lab and how we can use that during EFS, which is Experimental Foundation Studies, which is the freshman year at RISD. This is a materials list that we needed for the first day of class, and then also the detailed syllabus of everything we'll be doing week by week, which you can pause if you want to know exactly how the class is broken down. My drawing teacher assigns a lot of master copies. Master copies are pretty much you pick a master like Michelangelo or Da Vinci, pick one of their works and you try and recreate it. So she does that a lot. And then the other page next to it that's continued on this spread is critique. So during crit, she has us go around person to person and critique everybody. And what we're supposed to do, the people that's not being critted, is give critique and then also sketch the person's work and maybe write down some notes about it. This fallen angel was from the first work that I did that I showed you earlier. She didn't like the angel, so I literally cut it out. And then also the assignment sheet, we had to rework our first assignment, which is what we usually do. So she gives us a big assignment and then we come in for crit and we rework it based on the crit. Our homework due on 9/25 was to do 5 pages of an animal in motion from life. So I did a swan, a seahorse, a cat, a squirrel, and a bird. So we had to do those from life, and then we also had to do a master copy. So I did a horse drawn by Degas for my master copy. This sheet was our next assignment and also a page of drawings from my teacher's presentation. So the next assignment was rhythmic natural forms / animal skeletal structures / forms in motion compositional flow from sketch to final. Also for preparation for this piece that we were working on, my teacher brought all of us to the zoo and we had to sketch the animals there to prepare and do a couple studies for homework that week of different animals that we saw there that we were thinking about doing for the big piece. So I sketched a lot of stuff while I was at the zoo in a small sketchbook, cut it out and put it in my big sketchbook. My teacher is really fond of a lot of notes in our sketchbook, so I researched the animals and their size and different information about them. The master copy that I did for this week was a cat statue from the Met. So this is the final piece that I did. It's not really my favorite, but I don't usually draw animals, so I was happy with how it came out. I really like the zebras all the way in the back. This page is sketches of my classmates' work that they did, and I sketched them during crit. This next sheet is one of our homework pages. Our assignment was to create a master study with skeletal overlay on tracing paper. The goals are to discover an insight into another artist's attitude to form and content, as well as understanding of the expressive use of anatomical structure, which I just read from that sheet. In preparation for the assignment, she wanted us to do 3 master copies so that we could get a feeling for what we did. I did the one on the left, Ultimately, The Rise of Christ from Michelangelo. The one on the right's a master copy from this guy named George Drawing on Instagram. He's really good, you should follow him. And the third one I did was Egon Schiele. On this page, I have the notes from my zebra piece, the critique of it, so that I could rework it for the next week, and then also a ton of sketches that she had us do with a skeleton side by side with a live model. For the master copy with skeletal overlay on tracing paper, she wanted us to do a brief presentation before our crit about our artist and the history of the piece. So I have my notes on Michelangelo written out here with a little bit of information about the piece itself, and then also the critique I got on the piece. These are the sketches that I did during critique of everybody else's master copies. This is the final piece that I did for the project. The next page spread that you're seeing here, the skeleton, is the original skeleton I had for the piece. So during crit, I just went over it and drew on it with pen, and then I wound up just creating a new one for the following week based on the crit that I got. So for homework on 10:30, we had to draw a statue from the RISD Museum from 2 different angles. And then also that week, we went to the RISD Museum and we got to see a bunch of the pieces up close in our own room with like magnifying glasses with one of the people that works at the museum, so we could really get up close and sketch them. So that was really, really cool. So this was our next assignment called Providence, A Sense of Place. So we had to draw a 36 by 48 piece of a perspective in person somewhere in Providence. So these were the sketches that we had to do for it, and then also the master copy sketch that we had to do. So I did Van Gogh's for perspective study. These pages are kind of boring, so here's the final piece that I did for this project. It's called Bribing the Guard. It's a charcoal drawing that I did inside of the RISD Museum. These are some more sketches from my teacher's presentations. So this presentation was on masters that did really detailed perspective drawings. So this is a small sketch of a live model in the classroom, and all these stickers are from Open Studios. So Open Studios are when the upperclassmen studios are open to freshmen, so that we can get a feel for the majors and make a better informed decision when our time comes to pick our own majors. This squiggly page is just me playing with the ink so I can get a feel for it, and then I did this master copy from Marina Abramovich's live performance, and then another master copy from Peel Park's sketch by Lowry. The next couple of pages are my sketches from critique of my classmates' pieces, and the notes that I have on this page are the critique from my first week piece before I reworked it. This sheet on the left is essentially the assignment sheet for reworking our Providence Place piece, and then this one on the right is our final project, which is a chiaroscuro self-portrait, which pretty much just means a high contrast self-portrait. The minimum size is 48 by 36, but we can get really, really big, and it was due in 2 weeks, and we could use whatever medium we wanted. My final piece went through a couple of renditions. So the first iteration had those circle dots on it, and then the second one I took the dots off and I had none of them, and then eventually I just totally reworked it based on the crit I got in class. This was the second to last master copy that we had to do, and we had to do a chiaroscuro painting replica. For our final project, my teacher wanted us to do 2 different studies so we could pick from them. So I did one in ink and one in pastels. The one in pastels, which I found out after I did the actual piece, she absolutely loved. During my one-on-one crit at the end, she took a photo of it, which made me really, really happy. These next couple drawings are studies that we did in class from live models in, I believe, new pastels. So this is where I was playing around with the colors and how you could blend them to make different textures. I was told these fabrics look like an avocado. This sheet is explaining what we're doing for our final critique, so it's individual final reviews. Pretty much we bring every single piece that we did throughout the semester, pin it up on the wall, and our teacher sits with us and gives us a final critique on how we did throughout the semester. We get a lot of time slots, kind of like a doctor's appointment. This was our final master copy that we had to do. It was a chiaroscuro self-portrait of the artist. And then this next page, a bunch of doodles, is everybody's final portrait. So this is my final portrait. Like I said, I reworked it based on the critique that I got. And I added some feathers to do a full circle back to the first piece that I did, which had feathers in it. Like I said earlier in the video, my teacher was really fond of handouts, so I kept all the ones that I couldn't paste in my sketchbook in the back, like the packets. So here I'm just flipping through them if you want to pause the video and read them or look at the pictures. A lot of them are just human anatomy or information about animal sketches, stuff that was supposed to help us with our pieces throughout the semester. If you want to skip all the packets, fast forward the video to 13:20, where I go through the work tour when I have all my stuff hung up for my final critique. Thanks for watching. If you guys want to see more videos, please subscribe. Or you can follow me on Instagram at art_phoenix_, or check out my website, www.art-phoenix.com. Everything is in the description. Thanks, guys.